Alright, so here we have a really nasty level 2 functional skills maths question. It's tough, but let's give it a read through, and as always there will be small things that we can do to pick up marks even if we're not sure how to finish the question. So, Chen is going to lay concrete on a driveway. The diagram shows the space the concrete will cover. The concrete will be 10 centimeters deep. Chen knows the work will take 3.5 hours. Chen will charge £74.89 for each 1 metre cubed of concrete, £99 for delivery, and £26.50 for each hour of work. Chen thinks the total charge for the concrete, the delivery, and the work will be more than £350. Is Chen correct? Now, like I said, there are little things we can do to start off, but I'm not going to do them until the end because I think it fits the question better. But just to explain, if Chen knows the work will take 3.5 hours and he charges this much for each hour of work, straight away we can work out how much he's going to charge for the labour for each hour. You know, we just times these together and we'll have how much he's going to charge for that. But I don't want to do that until the end because I want to get the really complicated stuff out of the way first. So this is the driveway that he's going to be paving, but the concrete has a depth as well. It's going to be 10 centimeters deep, which means really it's a 3D shape that I suppose looks a little bit like this. You know, it's like, it's deep. It's got 10 centimeters of depth. That's not a very good drawing, but my point is we're going to need the volume, and to work out the volume we need the area so that we can times it by the depth. So I'll actually write that somewhere. The volume that we need is the area times the depth. That's a slightly shortened version of the actual formula, but that's fine for this. Now, to get the volume then, which we're going to need because he's going to charge per meter cubed of concrete, to get the volume, we need to find this area so we can times by the depth. But even finding this area is it's not straightforward. Now you may know that when we have shapes like this that are made up of what looks like two nicer shapes, we can just cut it into two nicer shapes, find the area of each of them, and then add them together. So over to the calculator. We are going to find the area of this section. It is a rectangle, so we just do base times height. That's 2.7 times 4. So the area of this left part is 10.8, and it's going to be meters because it's meters and it's area, so meters squared. And the area of the other part is 3 base times 1.6 height, so that's 4.8, which means the total area of this entire shape is 4.8 plus 10.8. So the total area is 15.6 meters squared. Cool, good. But we are looking for the volume, which is this area multiplied by the depth. Now we're told in the question that the concrete is 10 centimeters deep, and there is a problem. We can't do the area of 15.6 times by 10 because 10 is in centimeters. So everything so far has been in meters, but the concrete is in centimeters, the depth is in centimeters, so we're going to have to convert that. Now we know that 1 meter is 100 centimeters, which means to go from centimeters into meters, we are dividing by 100. So if I take that 10 centimeters and divide by 100, that will turn it into meters, so it is 0.1 meters. So every time in the question we see this 10 centimeters, it's actually 0.1 meters. And the point of doing that was so that we could now times our area by the depth, which is 0.1 meters, and that will be the volume of concrete that is required to fill that space. So, the total area was 15.6, the depth was 0.1, so this is the volume of concrete. So just for us, a little note, volume of concrete that he needs. Okay, now we can start dealing with the cost. I would say that's probably the hardest part out the way now. Now we just deal with the cost. Yeah, just reading the question through one more time. Okay, so we just worked out the volume of concrete, so it probably makes the most sense for us to find the charge for the concrete next. It is going to be £74.89 for each 1 meter cubed of concrete. Now he's using 1.56 meters cubed, so he's using 1.56 times as much, so it's going to cost 1.56 times as much. So what I'm saying there is that if it's £74.89 for 1 meter cubed, and we've got 1.56 meters cubed, then that's going to be 1.56 times as much. It's like saying if you had 2 meters cubed, it would cost 2 times as much. If you had 10 meters cubed, it would cost 10 times as much. We have a decimal, but we do the same thing. If we have 1.56 meters cubed, it costs 1.56 times as much. So this is the cost for the concrete. Now, I've said it before, we're dealing with money here, and that is cost, so that's in pounds. It goes to too many decimal places because we can't give money to more than 2 decimal places. We have to stop at 2 decimal places. And we will round that, but I will round that in a bit. I'll round that later. Oh, maybe I'll just do it now. Oh, sorry, don't want that. Let's say that equals 116.83, not 82, because the next number after the 2 is an 8, which means it gets pushed up to a 3. So that's the cost. Let me put a pound sign as well. That is the cost for the concrete. We will add to that the £99 for delivery, which is just listed in the question here. But let's do that thing I mentioned right at the beginning. Let's work out how much it'll actually cost him for the work. Now he's going to charge £26.50 for each hour of work. It's going to take 3.5 hours, so we multiply that by 3.5. If it was like 5 hours, then it would be £26.50 times 5. Doesn't matter that we've got a decimal. We still times by the number of hours it'll take, giving us this figure, which is how much the work will cost, like the labour, the actual, labour cost. So now we can add up the total cost of all the pieces and work out whether he's right that it will be more than £350. So the concrete itself, we worked out, is going to cost £116.83. That's for the concrete. We add onto that the £99 for delivery, which is here, and we add onto that the £92.75, which is what he was saying the labour would cost. That comes to £308.58. The question says, Chen thinks the total charge is more than 350. It is not more than 350, it's only 308. So is Chen correct? No. Okay, that was big. That was a big question. Let's give it one more talk through to explain everything we did, and then we'll wrap it up. So, first, we found how much concrete he's going to need. And to do that, we needed to work out the volume of concrete. And to do that, we needed the area that he's covering, so we can times it by the depth. And that's how you found volume. So, the area, we had to break it into 2 little rectangles, and we found the area of each rectangle, added them together. That was the total area of the surface, but it's 10 centimeters deep. So we'd like to times by 10, but that was in centimeters. And because everything else has been in meters, we need consistent units, so we turned that into meters, 0.1. When we'd done that, we could then take the area, times it by the depth, and like in the corner, like it says, that gives you volume. So we worked out the volume of concrete. Then we know how much the charge is per meter cubed, so we times that cost by how many meters cubed we need, which was 1.56. That gave us the cost of the concrete, and after that it was a lot easier. We then added the delivery charge and the cost for the hours, and that gave us the total cost. The only other thing we did in the middle there was work out how much the cost for the labour was by timesing the hourly rate by how many hours were worked. Good, and that's that question. So really long, really tough one, the very last question on this paper. I hope that explanation helped, although it is quite a complicated question. It might take, if you wanted to, you can watch the video multiple times to see if it goes in. Yeah, hope that helped. Thank you very much. And that's the end of the paper.